Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 5 p.m., March 18th, 2024. Time to start the Board of Public Works meeting. Ms. Jones, roll call, please.
Mayor Barnett.
Present.
Mr. Austin.
Here.
Ms. Gross.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Please stand for the pledge. All right, thank you, everyone, for coming. Gets us to announcements and public comment. Is there any announcements or public comments that's not pertaining to the agenda? Hearing none, we will go on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the meeting minutes of the March 4th Board of Works meeting, and also the approval of claims.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Was that an aye, that call?
That was, yep, that counts.
Thank you, Tina. Okay, there isn't any old business. We'll go right into the new business. Request for street closures for 2024 festivals, Discover Downtown, Franklin, Danny Causey.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I just wanted to encourage you on your way out to grab one of these. We have them on the table over here. It has all of our events for the whole year. And we're trying hard to not close too many roads this year. So you'll see before you, we are very happy to say that the Johnson County Commissioners have allowed us to bring Strawberries on the Square back to the courthouse. So that's pulled up on the screen there. So we will have a car cruise in on North Main Street, just like usual. And then we will actually only be closing the West Court Street side. We're going to leave East Court Street open for the local restaurants and businesses that are there. We will be having, if you can see the stage there, we will have live music. We are ordering 50% more supplies this year. So hopefully the Strawberries last up until the music starts. We'll see. And hopefully my volunteers are still talking to me after that. So that's exciting. There's no alcohol at that event. And then the next page is the Ethos Festival of the Arts. This is very similar to how it's ran in years past. We are expecting about double the applicants. We've paid for some software and we're doing a lot of marketing on that. There will be a very low-key beer and wine garden in that. Now, we did ask Holly to help us just put the stage on there, but I believe we might actually not be using the stage. We might just have more like street musicians for that. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's about all.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. Do Kenny or Tina?
No.
I do not.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the street closures for the 2024 festivals as requested by Mr. Causey.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Danny. Okay, next item, request for street closures for Parks Department 2024 festivals. Parks Department Superintendent Chip Horner.
Very similar to the last item. These are the street closures for the festivals that the Parks does. The first one on here is Car Cruise In, and there are 2 dates on July the 12th and August the 9th. And we did notice earlier today that it should say Jefferson Street to King Street, not or King Street. So if you're looking at the visual's right. The next one would be for the Eclipse Festival that's coming up. Pretty standard road closures that we have for most things. Next one is a Cruise in the Amp on June the 7th. That one would be the only time no, I lied, it's not the only time. Be one of the times that we close West Court Street because that event has gotten so big. Then the next one is the fireworks. It's just mainly closing Jackson Street off, which we did for the first time last year, and it worked really well to give more people area to watch the fireworks at. And then the last one's the Fall Festival, which is one of our bigger events, and it includes West Court Street as well.
Okay. And I don't have any, this is real close to the same thing we've done last year.
It
So I
is.
don't have any questions.
Chip, has the county
just as informational purposes, because as Danny said, they have tried to work again with us on the Strawberries on the Square, and I haven't told them what we're doing on the Eclipse. I just showed them this. They're closed, but
They've been at all the meetings. I know the emergency management has been at all the meetings we had. We just had one today, one of our final ones today.
and I know EMS does it, but is there any objection to me giving this to the county
Oh,
attorney?
no,
so that-
absolutely not, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, any questions for Chip?
Make a motion to approve the request for the Parks Department 2024 festivals as presented by Mr. Warner.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 3, approval of resolution 2024-03, approving riverfront alcohol beverage license guidelines and application. City Attorney Lynn Gray and Community Development Director Krista Linky.
Krista, you want me to run with this first, and you can
Sure.
fill in, or?
Yep.
You probably already know, because this has been before council a couple of times, but the council did approve by ordinance riverfront districts for us. The importance for the riverfront districts, as once the census came through in 2020 in the numbers, we were above 25,000 people, and that meant we lost the ability to take what are typically two-way liquor licenses and make them three-way liquor licenses. Under 25,000, they were unlimited, and you could do that. We lost that because of our population growth. It's just purely statutory. The way that a lot of communities, thank you, the way, most people don't tell me to raise my voice, thank you. I appreciate that. The way that most communities, particularly ones in this area where we're not large, but we are over the 25,000, have addressed it, is by adopting riverfront districts, and the term riverfront is very loosely defined under the statute. So Young's Creek technically qualifies as a river for this purpose. There's many of rivers that people didn't know about. But what that does is that then allows for the local municipality to then entertain requests for liquor licenses, not issue them, but to entertain requests if they are for development purposes. And generally, they come into play when it comes to a restaurant that wants to come along. Iozo's is one. We don't have a liquor permit. It's hard for them to develop their restaurant without a three-way liquor permit. So the way you do that is you adopt a riverfront district. You designate that. That's what's A and B. Those are the two districts that the council has approved. And then pursuant to the ordinance that the council adopted, it is then referred to the Board of Works for developing guidelines. I will tell you that the guidelines that are attached as Exhibit C were reviewed by the council because I thought it would be appropriate for them to maybe know what's typically done. And then part of that guideline, part of the ordinance then says follow the guidelines and then have the Board of Works adopt an application process. The application is what Exhibit D is, that anybody who would be seeking a riverfront liquor license would fill out that application, provide it to Krista. Krista would go over it with them, make sure it meets all the guidelines, make sure it meets our requirements. And then they would have a meeting with the mayor and Krista and get an idea about what their project is. After that occurs, then they would develop a recommendation, but ultimately it would then come to the Board of Works to entertain the request. If the request were granted by the Board of Works, they could then use that and go to the Alcoholic Beverage, I never can remember, Alcohol Tobacco Commission and ask for a three-way license. So ultimately, that decision is made, as it is in any liquor license application, but this is a requirement for them to even be able to ask that they get the approval of locality. So it is before you. It is appropriate for your action should you see fit tonight, and you would be adopting a resolution authorizing or adopting the guidelines and authorizing this application permit to be used. Krista, anything to add?
Just that when they make their application, they would meet with me, and then we would meet with the mayor, and then they would be required to submit their application for your review in advance. And there's quite a bit of detail that is required. If you look at this page, they have to provide floor plans, they have to provide a business plan, they have to explain the number of jobs, all those kinds of things. And then the financial and ownership all of that information. They have to describe any kind of improvements they're making to the location, their timetable, and then anything else they think might be relevant. And then I did call and talk to our area representative is Kurt Smith at the ATC. And then we would have to, based on what the Board of Works recommendation is, we would have to put together a letter from the mayor's office that stated acknowledging either approval or denial, which they will not review their application without that letter. And then we also have to provide a location map with the district shown on it and their location shown on it with the full address. So that's something we can pretty easily do once we have our first application. And I know that I've already actually sent this to IOZOs to get started on. And so they're working on the application now. And they would like to come to your April 1st meeting. So just be prepared. You're going to be off and running as soon as hopefully this gets approved.
So I just want to add one more thing to that with what Lynn said about the population. When we were at 25,000, we could adapt the alcohol or the beer and wine over to a three-way. Well, we're about 26,000, so you can't do that no more. But whenever you get to 30,000, you get more liquor license. So it's kind of like, and I shouldn't say it, but I will, because I think the legislators need to figure this out. It seems like to me it's run by the mafia. So that's the way it seems to me. And the
I have
other
no
thing-
evidence of that, by the way.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. The other thing is, we're not looking to create a drinking destination. We do not want that to be known, Franklin known as a bar town. I mean, some people already think there's too many bars now, but we don't want to be known as a bar town. We want to be known as Franklin, Indiana, as we are today. So that's just my 2 cents worth there.
And I would add, just if you look, oh gosh, Krista, I think there were 56 different ones. Literally that many municipalities have adopted. Greenwood has one, Columbus has one. Shelbyville has one. We had several public hearings, and we have not had anyone from the public speak about them at all. But we tried to preemptively address issues from the other entities that they had heard from folks. And that's why I think you'll see more extensive outlines of guidelines that we, not preemptively, but gave to the council ahead of time, that we basically learned from other people's problems. And so that was the benefit of having all of the other, some applications were very, very limited and didn't have many guidelines, but Krista and I spent more time, but we spent a lot of time going through the ones that we thought were as comprehensive as could be. So over the years, they've developed more extensive to prohibit just what you said, because in other communities, that was a concern. We didn't hear it here, but I think these guidelines address it without anybody raising it.
And the other need for the Riverfront District, and I think we talked about this at the city council, but the number of permits, three-way permits that we have for Franklin, 9 of them are to Mexican restaurants, just in Franklin, 9. One of those is an escrow, and then there are 2 additional restaurants in Franklin that are not open, but they have theirs in escrow. So there are 3 currently not being used. The rest are active, but we have no more to give. So if you're outside this Riverfront District area, you're kind of out of luck right now, so.
That was my question. So we have existing licenses established already. So when one of those becomes available, is it more advantageous for them to go back to the old process?
It depends on where they're located. So the riverfront licenses can't be transferred outside of the riverfront district area. So if someone has a license in the area, they may want to hang on to it just in case, for whatever reason, they ever decide to move locations out of the area. It is transferable.
Oh, okay.
What we're hoping is that people will free those up and get a riverfront district ones that allows, but we can't force them to do that.
That allows what?
Someone outside of the district to have a license.
Okay.
For an example, Texas Roadhouse that, had talked about going out by the interstate.
Yeah.
They can't get a liquor license. because we have people, the mafia sitting on all the liquor licenses.
We have previous owners that have them that won't relinquish them.
In other words.
We have no evidence there is mafia in Franklin. Go on the record, there is no evidence of that.
So
Just aggravating.
we had no approval process for those older
No,
licenses?
we don't.
Okay,
And the ones that apply through the Riverfront District still have to follow all the rules and regulations of the ATC. They have more work to do because they have to go through our process and then they have
Yeah.
to go through their process, so.
okay.
But like, for example, when Iozos was considering coming, they knew that there weren't any available and this wasn't finished yet. They were gonna pay upwards of $30,000 to try to buy a license from someone, whereas, this Riverfront District, it'll be $1,000.
Okay. So Texas Roadhouse is not
Well,
in the riverfront
They are not.
district?
not, it missed it by, across the street is, but not that area over there.
Across 44?
Yes.
Real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions?
But Krista, confirm for me, though, I do not believe that these permits are transferable without our approval under our guidelines.
No, they're not.
They're not, I mean, and I wanted to make sure we were clarifying that. They would have to, anybody in the Riverfront District would have to come back to us if they wanted to transfer to somebody else in the Riverfront District.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the time, we would probably say no.
Well, the whole point is it would depend on what they were trying to do with it.
Okay.
That's kind of the guarantee that you don't have a bar or just nothing but bars, but that it's actual, the idea was for development.
Yeah.
It's for development that a community wants, not so that we'd be trading all of these things for bar permits.
And that's the main reason why the redevelopment commission is involved, because we have to show as part of the ordinance, the amount of investment that both the municipality and the state has put into these areas for redevelopment. So a lot of times the applicant would actually apply to the redevelopment commission, which, since we've basically already redeveloped these areas, we thought it made more sense to come to the Board of Works as more of an operational kind of procedure than, it's not part of a redevelopment project per se, because those are already complete
Okay.
areas.
All right, I will move to approve Resolution 2024-03 for the Riverfront Alcohol Beverage License Guidelines and Application as presented by Ms. Gray and Ms. Linky.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, approval of Resolution 2024-04, a resolution to accept assignment of a 2022 tax sale certificate number 41-22000090 from the Board of Commissioners of Johnson County pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1.1-24-9 and 36-1-11-8. City Attorney Lynn Gray, and I got all that read into the minutes.
Thank you, sir. As you are aware, there are instances where property goes to tax sale and it does not sell. And and generally, the reasons for that is either the property is so upside down that even a private investor, upside down in terms of the taxes that are owed. The perfect example is the house on Jefferson Street. Krista, I can't remember the address, but.
544 West
Jefferson Street, that's a beautiful home now, that has been renovated. But that property went to tax sale for years and years and years and would never sell because the taxes were so high, any investor didn't want to come in and pay it. So if it's gone to tax sale for a number of times and nobody buys it, the county then has the property returned to them. And they have the ability under the statutes that Steve recited to give it to a local entity, being the town, if the town wishes to accept it. So we've done that on numerous occasions, and generally, we've redeveloped them.
Yes.
And then they get back, the idea is if we take them for no compensation, then we give them to FDC, or they redevelop them, get them back on the tax rolls, and that makes sense. This one is the same process, but this is a little different in the sense of this was a common area that was part of Carriage Estates when it was originally developed years and years and years ago, out by the interstate. I put before you a copy of Beacon that will show that there is a street right there called Monaco Drive, that everybody has treated it as if it were a street, including we take care of it, it's been paved, our citizens traverse over it, but technically, it was part of the common area of the subdivision when it was developed all those years ago. So it kept going to tax sale, and no one is going to buy a street that you can't do anything with. And so as a result of it going to tax sale and there being taxes on it that were never paid by the developer of the subdivision, the county reached out to me and said, would you like to have that street? And I said, it makes a lot of sense since we thought we had that street anyway. So that is before you. I don't anticipate we will turn around and do anything with it unlike what we usually do, but we will continue to keep it as a street which is access for these people that live in Carriage Estates.
Okay, I think I got one question on that for Mark. And Mark, I forgot to ask you this morning when we had our meeting. So this road right here it belonged to nobody, I guess, but the homeowners association. When we take this back, I know we get a few pennies for all of our road miles. Will we get money out of this from the state for road miles? Will this be added to that list?
It'll be added to the road inventory, and you're right, it's pennies. It's not a lot.
It's enough to maybe pay for the snow plowing? Doubt it.
Might be able to pay for fuel for the truck to
It's-
plow at one time.
Yeah, the whole street is .374 acres. Yeah, so.
But I thought it was good to point out to people that we do get road miles for the roads that we have, so.
And this, just for reference, that is why, at the planning level anymore, we don't let developers keep private streets unless it's a really unique circumstance. We make them be dedicated to the town upon completion of the development, and that was not what was done years and years and years ago. That's why you get these little parcels.
We're fixing it, right?
It's been fixed.
Yeah,
A long time ago, yeah.
All right, I will move to approve Resolution 2024-04 to accept assignment of the 2022 tax sale certificate number 41-22-00090 from the Board of Commissioners of Johnson County.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
You're welcome. The next step is the county will then consider a resolution, pass one just like ours. Once that's done, then they'll assign it back to us. We'll run it through and making sure there's a clean title, and then it'll be part of our street inventory.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Sally, we'll start with you, department reports.
I don't think I have anything tonight, thank you.
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah.
Mark?
I'm going to take the easy way out, too. I have nothing tonight, sir.
Okay, Krista?
I don't have a whole lot. We have the redevelopment commission meeting in the morning, and I will be giving the 2023 annual report of the redevelopment commission. I will also be doing that at city council this evening. If anyone just can't stand to stay and listen to that, they are welcome to. Dana has been busy with Economic Development Commission with all of our tax abatement compliance. I think there's 32 of those on the agenda also for city council. So just been busy with that.
Okay, thank you. Rick?
Nothing tonight, sir. Thank you.
Sherry?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Sir?
Nothing tonight.
Sir?
Just that the police department has our lateral hire going through public safety medical right now, and pending his approval, we'll be at full staff of 56 officers.
Whoa.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Great.
About time.
Chip?
We had one of our last big group meetings for the Eclipse Festival today. Thank goodness. So I think most of us up here are about as ready as we can be, so
Okay,
And ready for it to be over.
thank you.
I think it's going to be rescheduled.
144 years from now.
Yep.
It's my fault. I ordered it.
It's got to be.
Okay, so Lynn brought it to my attention that I skipped through other business. Is there any other business that we've missed? Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure when I was supposed to speak up, but hi, I'm Debbie Tavares. I'm one of the local nurse practitioners here in Franklin, and I requested to come speak with you this evening. I am one of many families in Indiana who's experienced this. I had a family member who needed an ambulance service last summer and had Anthem Health Insurance. Come to find out that through this journey of learning, Seals Ambulance, which is actually owned by Priority Ambulance, is not a network with any health insurance and can essentially charge whatever they want, like it has happened throughout Indiana, which is why they have recently passed that bill, Barrett's bill, Senator Barrett's bill, 1385. But it doesn't take effect until January of next year. So my family member cut their hand, non-emergency, non-ACLS ambulance run, and was sent a bill for $4,300. Okay? $4,300. I asked, called Seals, or actually Priority, asked them for an itemized bill, which they told me they didn't need to provide to me. But he was nice enough to tell me that they were charging her $47 per mile to drive from Franklin to Methodist, IU Methodist, $350 for some gauze to wrap on her hand, and $3,300 for just showing up. They also told me that if she had paid the bill within 30 days, which didn't allow for the insurance process to take place, that they would give her a discount, which leads me to believe that that was an overcharge in the first place, because no business can stay in business if you aren't making some sort of profit. And sent them to collections. It is now on their credit report for 7 years. I called the collection agency. They agreed to settle with my family member if I sent them $2,600. They are not required to be part of the No Surprise Act because they are not an air ambulance service. I'm actually retired from the service. I personally called the Department of Human and Health Services and verified that. So they are not held to that law. So they've essentially run a monopoly here in Franklin, have been charging whatever they want. I don't know how many families have been affected by this, but if you are not a Medicare, Medicaid, or TRICARE, they are not required to be in network and will not contract with any insurance company. This is a burden to the residents. I was very upset as a clinician, as a practitioner. How am I supposed to, in good conscience, tell a person to call 911 at a very urgent time in their life where they're already stressed out, and only to find out that they've been charging them whatever they want? And so my hope is to bring it to everyone's attention in case it happens to your family member, that you get a bill for $4,400 that insurance won't pay, and they won't call each other back. I talked to Anthem, I talked to Seals, I've talked to state senators, state representatives, I've called DC. I have gone above and beyond trying to bring this to everyone's attention. And so I'm hoping that the city council can come up with some sort of resolution for the people who live here so that this doesn't continue on, because it may happen to your family member and it's going to end up on their credit report unless they've got a couple of grand in their savings account just in case they need it. What really upset me is I had another family member involved in a motor vehicle accident over in Bargersville. The fire department's ambulance service responded. The cost, $900 flat rate, $10 per mile. The total was $1,150, which is much more reasonable. So I'm not sure what you can do. I'm hoping something can be done because this has got, this, I don't even know how long it's been going on.
Okay, so I appreciate, ma'am, I appreciate what you're saying. Let me tell you how we got to this point.
Sure.
I'd like to tell you.
Yeah.
Because there again, what you're saying is.
Absolutely true.
You've talked to your senators and state reps. There again, they're not listening. They don't listen to a lot of stuff. I'm saying it publicly. I'm a little upset about some stuff they're doing as well. But how we got here, I was on the city council when we did away with it, and so was Mr. Austin, right here, Kenny Austin. He's now the council president. So I will tell you that was a big deal that went on for a couple months.
When you say
Maybe-
did away with it, we did away with our in-house ambulance service because we were losing so much money.
Correct. And how we got to that. So we were losing money because we couldn't afford to keep up. People wouldn't pay their bills at all. And the mayor at that time was Mayor Paris. He brought it to the city council. We talked with the fire department. The fire department had a plan to be able to try to turn this around and make money and not cost the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year. So the city council wanted to go on. We voted that night to keep our ambulance service. The very next day, we had Board of Works. It was at 8 o'clock in the morning after the council meetings at that time. And the Board of Works members, 2 of them, one of them was a city council member. They voted to keep it, but it was voted by the other 2 to do away with the ambulance service. That's what happened. Now, today, we have looked at how do we bring our ambulance service back. It's going to be about $3 million for the city of Franklin to get their own ambulance service, and we quite frankly don't have that in a budget to do that. That's why we don't have ambulance to this day. There was a mayor that done away with it on his own, and the city council was against that. I will tell you that this is nothing new to us. We have been, the fire department, we have been discussing this for the last 2, 3, 4 years. How do we do something to make it better? So there are discussions going out there with other towns. How do we come together and do this? We've been talking to the county. How do we do this? And just so you know, I'm talking a lot now myself because we would like to do this. I'm with you. It's just the money thing right now of how we got away from it. Now we got to come back. And the money is not really for the ambulance and their supplies. We got to hire 14 people. And I left out a little bit of the story to Fred Parris's, the former mayor's defense. I want to say why he thought he needed to do that was because at that time we was opening up our 3rd fire station and we were going to have to hire 14 firemen that we didn't have money to hire at that time. Plus we were losing money. So that, to Fred's defense, that's why he decided that's why we're going to do away with it. I just wanted to give you a little history there, and I want you to know we are looking into it. I'm not going to sit here tonight and say, we'll get this fixed in a year, we'll get it fixed in 2 years, but you're absolutely right. Seals is, and it's not Franklin, where you say, you said Franklin is getting ripped off. I think it's everybody in the state of Indiana that has seals, and it's quite a few areas, because I don't think there's other ambulances out there for us to go to, and we've tried. So I just want you to know the history on it.
And quite frankly, it's going to take a legislative fix.
Well,
It truly is.
That's been brought up. It's the House
Yes,
bill.
I'm familiar with it because I was on the ground level of that as well.
Well, thank
Do a
you.
lot of personal injury cases, and the air ambulance, they would call them, they would ask to be called frequently and charge $50,000 for whether you needed the ride or not. So, yeah, it's going to require a legislative fix that, requires them to deal with the insurance companies, but insurance companies don't get off the hook either in terms of their reimbursement rates. It's a much broader problem than just being here, and it's going to require a provision that doesn't allow them to balance bill.
Understood. Maybe we could look into how is Bargersville able to provide this service?
They take it through their taxes because they don't have as large of an area. Plus, they have EMTs on staff. And you will hear many people in the White River Township area and the Bargersville area complain about the tax rate for those services. It's a bigger question. Good question, but it's a bigger question than that.
Okay, so in the meantime, we're just going to be charged whatever Seals wants to charge us.
Well, what do you think we can do about it?
Yeah.
Whenever you say that,
I'm
in the
asking.
meantime,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
do you want
yeah.
us to do?
Can you renegotiate with them?
No, there is no negotiation because they don't charge us
They
to
don't
be
charge
here.
us a penny.
So
They don't charge them.
a
And when
couple
you
people's.
And when you publicly bid it, which we do, you will get no one else that will bid the service. So some communities have no ambulance services.
It's tragic.
Yeah.
It is tragic, yeah.
I understand that it costs the city, but I can't imagine the cost to the
it doesn't-
citizens. No, I mean,
Yeah.
the savings the decision that was made for these savings may have saved the city taxpayer that funding, but it's not saved money for the residents of the city at
Well, it
all.
saved me from paying your bill, if that's what you're saying. So,
But it was, at that time, it was 3 million. It would probably be 5 to 10 million to actually get a full service because of the recruiting. But if someone in the private industry got a little more aggressive and created an ambulance service, then maybe
Right.
we would happily.
Do we currently have EMTs and paramedics on staff in each of our firehouses?
Not-
do?
Not enough to staff
Yeah, not
ambulances.
Not enough to staff ambulances, but we do have them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what I wanted to bring to
how
your
many,
attention.
how many do we have?
48 total in
How many is-
firefighters and paramedics. Paramedics, we have, I believe, right now, we're sitting at 13.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, 13 paramedics, which is not very many.
Okay.
So who provides the protocols for them to provide clinical services to the people in Franklin? Like, who's signing off on them, allowing them to give medications en route? Is there a physician involved?
No.
A hospital?
The city does not do that.
No,
Seals
we-
handles that.
So they
That's
handled that
correct.
privately?
That's correct.
Wow.
That is correct.
And I will tell you, we had a police officer that's going through the same thing right now. Do you know that, Captain?
Correct. I won't say his name, but when you started to speak on this, his spouse had an issue where she took an ambulance ride, and he is facing the very same battle that you're speaking to,
Right.
which was shocking to me. I didn't realize that SEAL specifically was not covered by any insurance.
None.
And you'll be hard pressed to find any ambulance service that is. So the other option is to create one.
Oh, that's sad. Well, it's, something to consider, because not only are they charging absorbent rates, they're sending people to collections, they're ruining credit histories when people are already struggling to keep a roof over their head and food on their table, and now they're
I
gonna have
get, I
something.
get all that. I hear that all the time.
I think it's a great point for legislation to get passed down the.
Have you called the
State
Attorney
House.
General's office?
No, but that was recommended. I'm probably
Yeah,
going to do that on
I
Monday.
think that would be
If
good.
if they made
yeah.
because what would end up happening is if we tried to do it here locally, they'd just go someplace else, and we wouldn't have any service. So it's got to be a state mandated thing. It really does.
Understood. Well, thank you for listening to my story.
No, we're on your side, trust me on this one. It's just, it's not an overnight fix, and it's something.
No,
we're-
it's not, but it's really sad that they've been allowed to do this, that, this has probably been going on, my apologies, I don't know when Mr. Paris was mayor, but this has been going on for a long time. It's destroying a lot of people's, financial livelihood, causing a lot of emotional distress, and I just don't understand how you can sleep at night when you are taking someone in their worst time of life, where they have called 911, and then turn around and ruin them financially, and there's nothing that can be done about it.
I hear you.
Agreed.
I just hope you're not blaming us for it, because that sounds
Yeah.
like what you're trying to do, but that's not the facts, so. We're working on it, and that is, I can tell you, I went as far as, I've talked to the Greenwood mayor, I've talked to other municipality, the council's presidents, and met with county commissioners. It is a discussion, and everybody knows that there needs to be something better, but until we come up with something better as a group, the city of Franklin can't do this on their own. It's going to be all of us working together.
Legislator's going to have to require them to do insurance. Yep.
Because I was in a sniper, I know she talked to me as well.
There's a city councilman, yes, same,
My son got knocked out in baseball practice last year, I got a $2,500 bill.
Yep.
I had no idea, I didn't, my wife's in the city school for insurance, I figured, probably covered $2,500 bill to take it from Johnson County, from the high school to Johnson County.
Yep.
There is legislation being pushed through, moved through right now, I don't know if they're making it or not, but there is legislation.
Well, this Barrett's law, which takes.
We need to move forward.
so we hear you, and I just want you to know again, we know that is an issue, and we're trying, I can't promise you anything, but we're going to keep trying, so that's all I can say.
Just a question, this law that was just signed won't fix the issue? HR 1835?
No, I don't believe it'll fix the issue entirely, because you're going to have to get the insurance companies on board. But that is, again, you're right. But this has been a long discussion that has been occurring the last couple of weeks with attorneys about write-downs and whether or not they're going to accept them. Are they going to balance bill? It's a bigger issue than simply saying, here, you're fixed at this cost.
So this law is just to make it feel good we did something, but it really.
It's a start. It's a start. It is not the end. It's a start. And it's more than it's ever been done.
But it still requires Councilman to pay a full bill for an ambulance service. His friend to pay.
Right now it does.
And will the same thing when this law becomes effective?
No one seems to be able to answer that question for me, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know the answer. It'd be easy for me to say, it's fixed, but I don't think that would be fair, because I don't know that to be the
I think
case.
this also funds any preparation for cities that want to go their own ambulance.
It's still,
Really? I've never heard that one.
it's not. It's part, I don't want to get, it's part of there's an complete movement towards mobile services and all kinds of care that will occur that includes opioid, I mean, it's a much, much broader, absolutely, because what you're saying is a big problem. And quite frankly, most entities, and the one you gave me in Bargersville, they know that they can't continue to maintain an ambulance service. As a government entity, it is not efficient to do it. It needs to be done in other ways, just like county hospitals have gone the way of the past, and we're lucky that we still have one that's in the county. They've gone to private, but you've got to restrict those private ones in and not allow them to balance bill and those kind of things. So it's a bigger, broader issue that requires a comprehensive plan to be put in place. You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Austin, do you have anything for tonight?
I don't have anything, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Tina, you got anything?
I do not, thank you.
Jan? Lynn?
No, I just sit and talk to them for an hour or two. Don't imagine anybody else is interested.
And I don't have anything else myself, but again, I do appreciate you coming in and speaking on that. I'm glad we had a little time to get into a deeper discussion.
Yep.
Well, usually you get 2 minutes, so we've kind of went over
Yep.
tonight. But,
That's all right.
well, how I'm justifying that is because I led into your discussion, so, yeah. All right, well, that's all we have, so I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
No, it's